What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to TD Cowboys Talk, home of the real Dallas Cowboy fans. Today, we're going to be discussing three topics. We're going to talk about Amari Cooper's injury update. We're also going to be talking about QB2, who is there to back up Dak Prescott, especially since Andy Dalton is no longer an option. All right. Then we're going to be talking about Tony Pollard, the backup running back to Ezekiel Elliott, who a lot of people glance over, but he might be taking on a bigger role. That and more right now here on TD Cowboys Talk. Now, ladies and gentlemen, diving right in. If you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you let your friends and family members know about the channel as well. Thank you all for your support, and thank you for hitting that like button. All right, so let's dive in. Amari Cooper's injury update. There really isn't. A lot of people have been asked, what's going on with Amari? There really hasn't been much of an update because he's fine, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a case of playing it safe than sorry, all right? As you know, he had surgery this offseason with his ankle injury. He did miss the OTAs and the mini camps, but Mike McCarthy is feeling very optimistic that he will be ready for training camp. Now, I'm here to tell you all, the Dallas Cowboys are going to really need him to be ready in training camp. You're not going to want any setbacks, any delays in his recovery. So it was a good thing that the team kept him out for mini camps and OTAs, because he's an individual that I pretty much feel like he has nothing to prove outside of that he is a 100% for that injury, and it's fine to find that out in training camp, because you don't want any setbacks and you want to make sure that he is healthy, because coming into the season, it's going to be very critical for the Dallas Cowboys to get off to a good start this year. I mean, they opened the season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending Super Bowl champs. You're going to need to be 100% healthy and full strength for that game. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a W, but at the same token, the Cowboys, if they want any shot at winning that game, they're going to need Amari Cooper. Then they have to play the Chargers, who's a young up-and-coming team, which is very manageable. But right in game number 3, you have the Eagles. You have to deal with the division rival, who is on the rise. So that's another game that you definitely want to make sure he's there for. Then you play the Panthers, and then you end up with the Giants in game 5. So 2 division games plus the Super Bowl champs. In the first 5, Amari Cooper's going to need to be healthy if the Dallas Cowboys want to start above 500 and really have a shot to be at a minimum 3-2. Hey, can they go 5-0? I'll leave that up to you all. But the Bucks, that's going to be a tough one, all right? It really is. Anyway, moving on. Quarterback 2. What's going on, Cowboys? If Dak Prescott were to go down again, what would you be left with? Is Jarrett Gilbert the answer? I don't know. But then when you look at the rest of the guys that are competing for the backup quarterback spot, it's just a whole bunch of, I don't know. And the problem that I have with the Dallas Cowboys in this regards is you want to try to have a good veteran quarterback that can come in and win you a game or two if your starter goes down. I don't think Ben DiNucci does that. I don't think Cooper Rush does that. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't know if Garrett Gilbert does that either. And at the end of the day, we all hope Dak Prescott has no injury. But at the same token, one thing that I've never been a fan of is a team relying on their starting quarterback to carry their entire season. And what do I mean by that? Because, of course, they are supposed to. But if they go down, it's almost like saying, season's over. One guy goes down, season's over. That's not a good look. I think the Dallas Cowboys need to continue to scavenge the market and or look at some of the backups on some other teams that are running with 2 decent quarterbacks, or some of the teams that have quarterback competition. These are things that I think Jerry Jones needs to really look into, and Mike McCarthy, because I'm not feeling very good at all with the backup quarterback situation. So that's what they have for right now. Who's going to end up being the QB2? Time will tell, but I'm telling you, it is a concerning area for the Dallas Cowboys, all right? Now, moving on to the main topic that I wanted to talk about, Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard. We're talking about a young man who is very talented, but has he ever really gotten the shot that he arguably deserves? I personally feel like he hasn't. He's been behind Ezekiel Elliott, rightfully so, but it got me to thinking, there is a shift in philosophy that had just taken place in Dallas, and I don't even know if the real Dallas Cowboy fans have noticed it. There has been a shift in philosophy with Jerry Jones. First and foremost, Tony Pollard, he needs more reps, and there have been reports that he will get more reps backing up Ezekiel Elliott. Also, they're looking at flexing him out in the slot or even out wide. Interesting. And is he capable of it? Yes, he is, but he has to play a much more defined role in this offense because you have a weapon that is being underutilized. That's just the truth. And the reality is Tony Pollard has averaged more yards per carry than Ezekiel Elliott the last 2 seasons. Now, I'm not making this a running back controversy. I'm not saying Tony Pollard is better than Ezekiel Elliott, but he has had better production when given the opportunity than Ezekiel Elliott. Now, I want to add on to that because Jerry Jones did something uncharacteristic recently. And some of you all are going to be like, this guy must be done know the Cowboys when I make this comment, but just hear me out. He actually signed Ezekiel Elliott on a multi-year off of rookie contract deal. Big deal. Let's just put it like that. He signed him on a big deal. That's not Jerry Jones at the running back position. I don't know if you all remember these two guys, DeMarco Murray and Darren McFadden. I'll never forget back in 2013, I'll never forget. DeMarco Murray ran for 1,121 yards and 9 touchdowns. He comes back in 2014 and he runs for 1,845 yards and 13 touchdowns. What did Jerry Jones do? He moved on from him. And what did the Cowboy Nation do? What are you doing, Jerry? Are you trying to ruin the team? How dare you not retain DeMarco Murray's services? Are you crazy? And what did Jerry Jones do? He said, shut up. I remember it. This was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Jerry Jones said, all y'all be quiet. A Mack truck can run through this offensive line. Those were his words. I'll never forget them because I followed this just to see if he was right from a football philosophy standpoint. Because in 2013, he built an amazing O-line because Murray had 1,121 yards and then the following season puts up 1,845 yards. Yes, 1,845, ladies and gentlemen. And Jerry Jones said, I don't have to keep him and give him all that big money. A Mack truck can run through this line. Sit back and watch. He brings in Darren McFadden. Darren McFadden in 2015, the next season, 1,100 yards and had a successful season. They said, oh, you're going to get rid of Darren McFadden too? What's wrong? Sit down and be quiet. A Mack truck can run through this line. He brings in Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott inherits one of the best O-lines in the league in 2016 and puts up 1,631 yards with 15 touchdowns, averaging 5.1 yards per carry. He comes back in 2017. Puts up 983 yards, but it was only in 10 games. He was on pace to put up another 1,600 yards. He has 7 touchdowns, on pace for double digits again, but he got hurt. Still balling on that O-line. He comes back from the injury. He puts up 1,434 yards in 2018. Still got one of the best lines in the league. 2019, that line is slowly but surely declining from losing a piece here, replacing it, losing a piece there, replacing it. He still has a good season of 1,357 yards. And the line decreases again in 2020. Ezekiel Elliott has 979 yards in 15 games. On pace to reach pretty much around 1,050 yards. That was his pace. But he got hurt. And in those years, he's averaged over 4 yards per carry. But Jerry Jones have always said, if I build the best O-line in the league, I don't have to covet a running back more than the O-line. I'll just put a running back in with that O-line and they'll ball out. But you know who's been playing well in the last few years, the last 2 years? That has been Tony Pollard behind even a less of an offensive line that he used to have. The line isn't as good as it used to be, but it's still decent. And Tony Pollard has been putting in some work, but he isn't the premier back. So Jerry Jones was faced with a situation a year ago. Well, do I keep Ezekiel Elliott or do I stick to my guns and say a Mack truck can run through this line? Jerry Jones went against his own philosophy because he knew this O-line wasn't what it used to be and it was on the decline. Therefore, the Dallas Cowboys put their money into Ezekiel Elliott. You didn't have another situation. Now, don't get me wrong. Ezekiel Elliott selling tickets, jersey sales, all that has something to do with it too. But he went against his own philosophy because that O-line isn't the same. And now it's going to have implications when it comes to salary cap. Dak Prescott's new deal, Ezekiel Elliott's money, all of it has salary cap implications down the road, especially when you write contracts that have voidable years at the end. It's like kicking the bucket down the road with the salary cap, where you're making it where you can manage it now, but later on you're just piling up debt. You're piling up debt for the future. Dead cap that's going to hit. There will probably be players on this team that will move on, and 4 years later, they'll still count for dead cap against the salary cap, the way that the contracts have been put together. So Jerry Jones is in a win-now mode. They're going to have to define Tony Pollard's role, and they're going to have to figure something out. They're really going to have to figure something out because this team is constructed very well, but for some reason they can't get over the top or get the chemistry right to where they're just rocking and rolling off 12, 13 wins. And a lot of people believe that's the type of talent that the team has, but they have to get better on defense. Bringing in your first-round pick in Parsons was a beautiful thing, but everybody knows that wasn't the play. The play was the cornerback, which your own division snuck up and took from you. And now you get the linebacker Parsons as a consolation, and that is, you couldn't get a better consolation. That is a beautiful pickup. But I think you still need to put some work into the secondary and the cornerback position. There's guys out there like Xavier Howard right now on the market with Miami having a contractual dispute. He would turn that defense upside down immediately, having 10 picks last year, being right now currently the fourth best rated corner in the league. Something that the Cowboys should look at because they have changed their philosophy on the running backs because the O-line isn't the same as it used to be. What will the Cowboys do from here? I don't know. Time will tell, and I'll be here to report it. Again, thank you for tuning in to TD Cowboys Talk, home of the real Dallas Cowboy fans. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Are you concerned about Amari Cooper's injury? What do you think about the QB2? Is that a concern for you? It is for me. And Tony Pollard, does he deserve a bigger role? I believe so. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Let your friends and family members know about TD Cowboys Talk. I'm out. See you soon. Peace.